Hey everybody, welcome in to our Sweet 16 show right here on the back room. John Lunceford, Sean Rockstar Henniger, Scott Forester. And, I feel like people like these a little better when we trash the other three that are on the show, a.k.a. this one, and this one. But along those lines, we're thinking of topics to talk about and ways to make them feel bad. I thought of this prompt, okay? Here's the prompt. If Taylor, our social media director, is number 10, and if Tyler, the intern, is number 11, who is number 1 through 9 for the next round in DBL Down Media? And so you asked the question, is that ranking them? I didn't say rank them, like on who you like or who looks the best or whatever. I didn't say, anything about anything except if Taylor Corn is number 10 and if Tyler the intern is number 11, who is number 1 through 9? Do any numbers immediately jump out and say, oh, that person's this number?
Well, you said the ugly thing. Can you imagine? Would you be upset if you were number 11 on ugly?
Especially if Tyler was already number 11. It's like, oh, so bad. I went behind the one that was already assigned.
But I'm saying we did that. Well, would you want to be... If it was ugly, would you be 11 or 1? Which one's more insulting?
I guess if it was ugliest people...
Not ugly, I just said ugly. You're number 11.
If it was ugly, I would think 11 would be bad.
Okay.
Unless you specifically said it's the ugliest people, then number 1 would be
okay. So go ahead.
So, but I just said who, if Taylor is 10, Tyler is 11, who is 1 through 9? You can give a why if you want to, but
well, I want to let you start this exercise first because
here's my thing.
Your topic.
I have an obvious number 1 for me personally.
Okay.
When I even came up with this idea, for me the obvious number 1 is Lance.
Okay. Reasoning?
Because Lance is the father of all of this, not necessarily this specific thing that we're doing, but of the round table. And being at Jocks for so long and being the, from a talent perspective, the name that's always been associated with the round table through Ian, through Kelly, Tony Curry, all the other people that have been involved with it up until now with Dunaway Brown. And for the last, was that 2010 or 2011?
2011.
So since 2011, I know it's just been the 3 of them. But Lance, I feel like, is the easy number 1 because he kind of came up with the whole concept. He's sold the show. I mean, he's been the biggest one selling the show and making the money for the show for the longest time. Plus, he's been the talent. So I think he's an easy number 1. Now, I don't know if you'll disagree with that or not, if you put somebody else number 1. But while you're thinking about that, I have an easy number 2 as well, personally.
I would agree with your number 1 because it all starts because I was there when it was a 1-hour show with Lance solo. Then it was him and Landrum for a 1-hour show in between Eli and Sonny and Wimp. So I go back. Who's your number 2?
My easy number 2 is you. So number 1 and number 2 because Lance and you, and even from my time with the show, you and Lance have been the constant because
we went through a lot of hosts.
It went through a lot of hosts, and I mean the ones I just named weren't even all of them. Like you just mentioned Landrum, we got to mention Brian in there too. I mean, there's a lot of other people, but I just feel like it's Lance's baby that you helped create, which is why Lance is 1, you were 2. Now I think that is when the conversation starts. But y'all might have a different 1 and 2. You might have a different 1 and 2. I don't know.
See, this is so hard for me because I don't have all the history that you guys have. I'm kind of the...
You weren't a super fan?
But from an outsider perspective, just knowing what you do know about the show and having worked here and heard us talk forever, I mean, it may be...
The 18-part documentary coming out soon.
Yeah.
Is never
coming out. Never.
It amazes me how many people bring that up in the chat. And it's every single time I want to respond with, it's never happening. We've done more on this show to explain behind the scenes than they've ever done. But I mean, from an outsider perspective, I'm just curious if you see it as like when you thought the round table back in the day was like Lance the first name you went to, or was it more when Dunaway Brown came on? Or
for me, I guess I kind of caught on more when in the Dunaway Brown kind of so.
Well, here's an honest question. No offense taken. Were you ever a listener before you were involved?
I was an occasional listener. I was not an everyday fanboy kind of listener.
Okay.
See, I really didn't start listening until the fall before I interned up there. So that was in the fall of '07, because that's when I started playing at Birmingham Southern, and so I would always listen to the show going to practice. And so I was looking for something to listen to. So I'd always listen to the end of the round table and the beginning of Paul going to practice, and that's when I heard Ian say, we're looking for interns, and that's the whole reason I even found that in the first place. So really before that, I wasn't a big listener. I mean, I know the history just from being around it for so long, but I never listened to a second of it hardly. I mean, even though my dad was on Jocks back in like the mid-'90s, there's a whole gap of like 10 to 12 years where I just never listened to it. I'm not a big radio person in the first place, but just during football season I wanted to listen, and so I listened to it. But like my argument with this is, I'm not telling you to rank by any kind of criteria, but if you went to like Jim first because he hosts the show now, and then like...
You're almost doing cast in order of appearance.
Yeah. So like, in order of appearance, Jim is one of the first three, and he's the first one that talks every time. So like, you could do it that way if you wanted to, but my personal numbers, Lance is 1, you are 2, but I think this is where it really gets interesting.
Yes, I want to hear who number 3 is, because this is...
So number 3 for me is Reed.
Okay.
Who is Lance's brother, and who kind of runs everything up here.
El Presidente.
Yeah.
He was when we left Cumulus, he was the sales manager for Jocks and Talk, our political station. I say what was our political station.
Whoops.
But when I was an intern, he was a salesperson. At that time, he wasn't a manager, and he left and ended up coming back.
Right.
But at the time, he was a salesperson helping sell the round table, and he's Lance's brother. So if Lance is number 1, I feel like his brother, who also has worked alongside the show, even though he's never been an on-air person, I don't guess ever, or done.
I think he's come on once or twice.
You know, being a part of it, and here he's been on camera before, but
did a great weight loss commercial last year.
And he was in the back room.
Yeah, he was in the back room. You know, I think that was episode 2.
Yeah.
So go listen to that. We kind of talked about some of the behind-the-scenes stuff of us leaving, unlike the 3 of them. But it's the truth. But I would put him 3rd, and a lot of that does have to do with blood. I will say. I think a lot of it has to do with blood. But of anybody involved, strictly going on a chronological timeline, I do think he would be 3rd from a sales perspective, more so than like a physically working with the show every day perspective. So I can understand if you did. The first 2 I'm pretty set on with you and Lance, but the 3rd one I'm kind of willing to negotiate if you had somebody else.
Well, let's see who's number 4.
I was going to get mine, and that's it. That's it.
Well, this is this is your exercise.
I'm good with reacting.
This is
to
your
list.
I'm curious what everybody else will say.
No, I've agreed with you on 1 and 2. I want to see who's number 4 is to see if I agree with you on 3.
Who do you think number 4 is?
I think in my mind, I think it's going to be John Lunceford.
Number 4 is John Lunceford. Number 4 is me. So
You made the starting 5.
I did. I made my own starting 5. Hey, you know what? If I was the starting 5 for the Los Angeles Lakers, I'd make it too.
Yeah.
But so I interned with the Roundtable started in spring of 2008, and like most interns, I overstayed my welcome. My internship was actually that summer. So I started spring break. I got my wisdom teeth out, and the very next day I interviewed with Ian, and it was really fun, all hopped up and with crap in my mouth. But I started right after spring break, and I interned in my actual school, like credit was in the summer, and then I stayed for the fall because that's football season. That's when you want to be around it. So I stayed through fall and ended up staying. My last day was signing day, first week of February of that year. And then I came back in 2009. I didn't actually intern at the station, but I went to football games because 2009 was when Brown kicked me out of my seat.
Yep. So
that was that whole year. Go back and listen to that too.
It's an up and down year for Mr. Lunceford.
But they called me, and so I came and did that. It wasn't specifically for the Roundtable necessarily. It was more just a Jocks thing. But so I made this joke, and I got a look from one person who I'm not going to say it's not somebody who works up here, but I got a look from somebody when I said this at our first Christmas party. You weren't there. Our first Christmas party, we all got up and went around the table and said, like, you know, we had successfully started. We had made it through our first football season. And I got up and I said, as the eldest person here other than Lance, because you weren't there, because the whole thing I would have been 3rd behind you. Reed was there. I still jumped over him. But I was like, as the eldest member of the show minus Lance, who's present right now, and I gave this whole, like, speech about we all got up and talked about things. and I got a look from one person of like, that doesn't count.
Yeah.
Like that's BS. That doesn't count that you were an intern before other people came.
You still put effort in the show.
And so I still say, because I was there for almost a whole year, it was March through February, and then I came back for another football season to do stuff, I put myself at number 4.
Okay.
So,
I don't disagree with it because if it's in order of appearance, because that's 2 or 3 years before this iteration of the show even began. So I don't disagree with that. I think you and Reed are almost interchangeable between 3 and 4.
oh, so you might put me higher.
I don't know because I'm talking about actual involvement of the day-to-day of the show. You were more involved in the day-to-day.
Yeah, I mean, I get that.
This guy went to Arby's almost every day. Also, it was a beardless John Lunceford, if I recall.
I didn't have a beard. I haven't been clean shaven since 2009, but that was the summer of 2009 was when I was at Rutgers, and that's when the last time I was ever clean shaven. Weddings, everything, I was never clean shaven. But yeah, I went to Arby's every day, and I got the chicken cordon bleu
Mozzarella sticks.
Sandwich and mozzarella sticks. There's a whole segment where they just destroy me because I did not have a radio voice at the time. So when I was
Who does?
When I was on as an internist, they bring me on. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. I mean, that's how I would talk. And now I can't shut up. But I remember they brought me on, and Ian's like, "What did you get?" And I was like, "I had like 2 beef and cheddar sandwiches." And a thing. I said a thing of mozzarella sticks. And Lance is like, a thing of mozzarella sticks?
Oh, they get the large. Like the regular order was 4.
It was a large. And so
The thing was like 6 or 8.
yeah, 6. And so it's like a large, or he's like, a thing? How much is a thing? What kind of measurement is that? It's like there's a Family Guy clip where it's like, I need a desk of cheese and I need a drum of jelly. It's like, I'm trying to make fun of like really big measurements. He's like, a thing of mozzarella sticks.
That was your first appearance, like on mic?
I think that was my first appearance on mic. Because the thing is, I would go get lunch for the 2 of us.
Yeah.
Because I would sit back, like you see Tyler sitting behind Rocky now, I would sit behind him and answer phones and stuff. And a lot of times I would go get stuff for Ian and Lance. I feel like Lance was the least likely to get something to eat. Ian sometimes, but they paid for it back in the day when interns got food for free. But I'd always get stuff for us, and I'd always go to Arby's down the street. It's not there anymore from the Jocks studio. But yeah, they just destroyed me for eating my thing of mozzarella sticks, and I got destroyed a lot on that show. But anyway,
so I
say I'm 4 because of that.
Now this is where it gets interesting because I feel as if it's a combo. Who do you give number 5?
Well, I have a reason why I give number 5 and number 6. It is Dunaway and Brown is the combo next.
But who is 5?
But for me, Jim is 5.
Okay.
And Brown is 6 because I've been to 2 Iron Bowls that they have been present at. Brown has taken my seat at one of them, and Jim has given me a seat at the other one.
Oh,
That's your reasoning.
there you go.
It all
Now,
goes back to
Brown-
This is a revenge ring.
Brown was somewhat a part of giving me the seat because Dunaway Brown got up for me and Joe Hunk to have a seat at the 2017 Iron Bowl, the one that Jalen lost. But because they're always talking about how they like standing on the field more, and I was like, well, Brown didn't like standing on the field more, back in 2009. But I literally have in my notes right now, 5 Jim joined the roundtable in 2011, 6 Brown joined the roundtable in 2011, but took my seat. So that is the only reason I have them there. I don't know if y'all would switch.
It's like that one time. Do you remember that one? I don't know if y'all have ever talked about that one time he didn't fulfill the bracket challenge. Just
did that come up today?
That one time I didn't give you your seat.
And not totally convinced this one will be fulfilled either.
Yeah. Oh no.
But we'll see. Anyway, so 5 and 6, Dunaway Brown. I mean, you can switch them in and out. Also put Jim 5 just because he is the driver of the show.
Yeah.
Which we've joked on here. I despise driving.
It is hard job.
Very hard to do play-by-play as opposed to color.
But to add insult to injury, according to Lunceford, for the round table, next round, Ryan Brown is the 6th man.
He's not even starting.
Oh, he didn't make the lineup.
He's in the 6th man.
At least I let Jim be the 5.
He gets to tear away them britches.
That's the other funny thing. So if we went through and did all this, like Lance's point guard, your shooting guard, Reed's the 3, which I can see. I'd be the 4, which is where I probably belong, but Jim is not the center. Jim does not make Lance or me probably be the center. But
y'all play defense, so we can just chunk it to me at the end.
yeah, Jim's just going to stand there.
Yeah, I'll just stand under the goal.
And cherry pick. All right, so anyway, now we get to number 7. Mm-hmm. So number 7, I feel like Scott's waiting for when I'm going to say his name. I would have
ranked me 9, so I mean.
I went with Kelsey.
Okay.
At number 7 because Kelsey was a salesperson as well so she hired me in 2014 to come back when I was at the Zone and then came over there. So she brought me back, and then almost immediately we started shooting all those stupid videos we did with y'all. I don't know if you remember those.
I do vividly.
But they were really goofy videos that we would start shooting, but that was kind of the brainchild, I guess, of both of us. But we would come in and do that. So she was active and kind of promoting the show, selling the show and all at that point. So kind of sticking with the in order of appearance, I would put her at 7. I'd put David at 8 because then he came in after that because we worked with him over at Cox/Summit. And then, we both recommended him to come over to be the market manager. And then he came in and
he was actually the one that told us we were no longer from 10 to 2 anymore. We were going to be 6 to 10.
Yep. Which I know everybody there loved so much.
And we had no choice. Like this isn't a let's think about it. Like you guys start in 2 weeks. You are 6 to 10 now.
Start setting those alarms.
Yeah.
I only did it. So that's the other thing. So I worked with y'all for I think 4 months before I then took a sales manager job. But my wife got run off. That's a whole different story. And then so I took over after primetime went away. It was miserable.
There's got to be an interesting dinner conversation at the house.
Yeah. That's a whole different conversation for the 13-part documentary that I'll never start. But it was miserable. Like, she kind of got used to it because she worked with the opening drive for like 5 years before that, but I just could not do it. I mean, every morning I was dying.
You never get used to it. You always dwell. Like if it's 9:30 at night, going, I need to be in bed because I got to get up.
Yeah. What time are you setting the alarm for?
Mine went off at 4:45 because I lived right by Vulcan, which was like maybe a mile and a half from the station. It was a straight shot, so I was like, and there's no traffic at 4:40, so I'd get on the road I'd get there by 5:15, 5:20.
We had just bought our house where we live now, which was like a 25-30 minute drive to Cumulus. I used to live right by it. And it would take me 5-10 minutes spent on traffic to get there, but we had just moved away, and so my wife had kind of gotten used to it because she did a couple months while we lived in that house, but then I started. The worst part is my garage door broke. Like, it wouldn't, like the electronics in it broke.
The cold.
So I had to leave my car outside, and so I'd have to go and get in the cold. Of course, I'm going to be nice and let my wife have the one that works, and it was freezing every morning. Mm-hmm. I think I would set my alarm for 4 because I'd snooze it a couple times. I should probably get up about 4:30, or probably like 4:20. Try to take a shower. Try to get out by like 4:45. I get to the office about 5:15, and then go from there. And the show started at 6. But miserable, absolutely miserable. The thing is, I don't get why any show. You know, it's the morning show there now. It doesn't start till 7. The main morning show. I don't get any show being on from 6 to 7 in the morning. Because at least at 7, if it's Eastern time, if you're syndicated, at 8 when it starts, that's when drive time is happening, like 8 to 9. So I understand 7, but I don't understand 6 at all.
How many people are really on the road?
Yeah, it still goes back to advertising. It's an open hour to advertise to make money.
And they measure everything 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Because like with prime time, we only really matter for an hour from 6 to 7. The 7 to 8 didn't really matter. But like, I'd so much rather be on from 7 to 8 at night than 6 to 7 in the morning. Like,
well, no, because we did the shift, and I think by far we did all 3 shifts. We did the 6 to 10, 10 to 2, and 2 to 6. By far the hardest and the worst was 2 to 6, because 2 to 6, your day you don't get to the office till like 1 o'clock.
I guess it depends on.
And then when you're driving home and
like.
it's at night, it's like this. Like, what are you going to do with yourself till 1 o'clock the next day? You feel like you're being lazy if you're not putting forth effort to work, but essentially it's the same hours, just different time.
See, as a single guy, I love doing 6 to 8 because I wouldn't come in because so I still had my normal full-time job and then did prime time on top of it. I wouldn't come in till noon every day, and then I'd stay till like 9 or 10 o'clock every night.
Ooh, I don't like that.
As a single guy, I go home and stay up till 2 in the morning playing video games or watching movies or whatever, and be perfectly fine. and then I'd sleep in the next morning till like 9 or 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
I could get up, do whatever I wanted to, still have plenty of time, and then roll into work about lunch. Only problem was I couldn't park close to the door because I came in later. But I mean, as a single guy, it was great. But I understand as literally anybody else that not being good. You could not go to softball games if you were doing that afternoon shift.
That'd be tough. It was tough in TV.
You couldn't play at night.
No, I just
stuff, if you were
from
doing
the 2
late.
to 6 thing. I had a problem with playing places that want to start at 6:30 or 7. So
I understand it from that perspective.
but it's also you feel lazy. It's even though it's the same hours, you feel lazy. But if for some reason waking up at 6 and being done with work at 11:30, you feel like you've accomplished so much because like, hey, people are going to lunch right now, and I've already given them my full day.
It was great leaving about 1 o'clock. I usually leave about 1 o'clock with the
go home,
few
take
months I did y'all.
take a nap, take like an hour and a half nap or an hour nap, and then just go work out, do something. You'd have the full day ahead of you. Although knowing that 4:45 is going to sneak up on me, and it's coming, and like that was miserable. And knowing doing trivia on Wednesdays and not getting home till like 11 o'clock, and I'm like, oh my god, I got to get up. And I have to take a shower. I'm one that I don't take showers in the morning. I take them at night before I go to bed. I can't go to bed smelling like ass and being sweaty and stuff like that. So I'd rather wake up somewhat refreshed. But then the showers don't wake me up. Coffee don't wake me up. I just have to get my ass out of bed to come out. Anyway,
I'm a morning shower guy. Gotta have a shower.
well, I'm in the
morning
minority.
shower guy, too.
I'm in the minority. I know I am, but I'm also not a multiple. These guys that say they take like 2 or 3 showers a day. No. I wish I could, but I don't. We got to get to number 9, man.
Number 9 on the list. Make sure I included Scott on the list. Scott is number 9 on the list. No offense, but I mean, once again, in terms of like day in day out to the show is one thing. I was going more of a chronological order because the question is, if Taylor is 10, Tyler is 11 as the most recent comers to this, who is 1 through 9, and then you can change how you define 1 through 9 in a lot of different ways. I was simply doing it for that. 99.9% of the reason I even brought this up was so I could put myself ahead of Jim and Brown. But anyway,
6th man.
Yeah. So that's how I ranked it. And I'm curious how I feel like the average person would rank Jim 1, Brown 2, Lance 3.
Really?
Just people just watch the show. Like I just know the show. I feel like they would do Dunaway, Brown, LT because that's how it's said most of the time. That's how the flow of conversation goes.
It would definitely be those 3 in some
order. And then 4, they may do like 5, 6 of some sort just because we're the other two that get mic time and all that kind of stuff. And they keep constantly saying like Taylor's 10, Tyler's 11, so that takes them out of the equation. And then like Reed, Kelsey, David kind of being behind the scenes to be 7, 8, 9. But I'm just curious how everybody would rank it. So if you want to comment or thread it or whatever about who you think 1 through 9 is, feel free to do that. But I'm ahead of Jim and Ryan Brown because he took my seat. But yeah.
Do you agree or disagree? Or are you still following? Are you still having trouble following?
No, I follow, and that's where I would have personally that's where I would have put me too.
It's also, I don't think it's an insult either. With 11 employees, I mean, my God, like it'd be different if like you're number 3,604. But it's just interesting to be steadily growing and everything, but just to be such a compact unit, it's very interesting to go through. And
the most interesting thing is who will 12, 13, 14, and 15 be?
Very true. I'm eager to see. And can you trade? What would it take for me to trade 4 to 2? Not 4 to. Yeah, if I'm 2. Yeah, you're 4. I'm 2.
Yeah.
Is it a pride thing?
I get the camera on me alone, and you don't get a camera.
I could do that.
Who'd I have 3? Oh, Reed. Yeah, he's not on camera. That and cash considerations from Reed.
Consideration. What about gift cards?
And I'll give him a pick to be named later.
What about if we gave you a 1 free weekend at Disney a year? Leave Friday, come back Sunday night.
Does that include food?
Sure.
Yes.
All right.
I can do some damage with food at Disney.
I'm surprised you don't already get free stays at Disney. That's
Here's the thing with
You're
Disney.
the ambassador.
Here's the thing with Disney. Like Jim brought up when he's talking about me going to Disney and all, like Disney is so much cheaper if you get an annual pass. The average person doesn't
Go annually.
do that. I get it. But like if you're going just twice, it's worth it to get an annual pass. because you pay an annual pass is worth like 4 days in the park. So if you're doing more than that, it pays for itself. Plus you get like 25% off hotel rooms. Plus you get like 25% off all merch and like food and stuff like that, to where then it really starts accruing and really starts accumulating. Plus, you have certain perks you earn and stuff like that too.
Have you taken your family?
We have been 3 times, maybe 4 times.
When was the last time?
About 3 years ago.
Is it somewhere you can take for a teenager to enjoy?
See, I don't think, unless you're just so obsessed with getting your picture made with the characters, I don't think Disney is good for anybody under the age of 18.
Yeah. So the last time we did Universal too, and my teenager with all the Harry Potter stuff at Universal, she loved that.
Harry Potter is really the only draw for me day in, day out at Universal, but people do go crazy for it. But like Disney, like if you're not obsessed with the characters, if you just want to do thrill rides and stuff like that, go to Six Flags or something, or go to Universal, which is going to ultimately be cheaper than going to Disney. But because they have like more roller coasters and stuff at Islands of Adventure, at least in Orlando. But like, I don't think you can truly enjoy Disney until you're an adult.
Wow,
because there's so much. But
that
like,
is an odd statement.
Well, no, but like, and this is a whole different topic we're getting to. I know,
we need to tease this for another topic because Lunceford's going to get deep.
And I don't know, they're going to do a whole back room on that. But like Tyler brought up today, Downtown Disney. He's like, oh, I remember when I went as a kid and they had this. I was like, well, that doesn't exist anymore. They've made it so much so of like, Disney is a destination and like a resort where you want to eat like fancy food and stuff like that. The best place I go eat is a place called Morimoto, and Morimoto's like a big time chef. He's been on like Gordon Ramsay shows and stuff like that. Maybe an Iron Chef, I don't know, but like, it's fancy. It's not like super expensive, but it's fancier food that a kid's not going to go to a fancy Japanese place.
Well, it's
fancy...
the marketing to get the parents that are like, I'm taking my kids here. You got to impress me too, because if I'm spending all this money, I don't want to just sit with Pluto.
And they've almost done more of that, like shifted. I feel like to that, because the other thing is all the rides are opening are more thrill rides that are not for like little kids.
Because you can't take a little kid by himself, like he has to be with the parent. So you got to impress the parent too, which is a good idea.
If you're going to impress the parent, then, I mean, that's the age I am to where I would have a little kid to do that potentially. It's just fun for me now. And I don't have, the thing is, I also don't have to worry about, dragging a kid who doesn't want to do half the stuff and all that. I can just go and enjoy and do whatever the hell I want to. It's so much more fun that way.
Which, by the way, our last trip there was infinitely more fun than when the girls were young. And it was,
I mean, I'm telling you.
Pulling teeth, getting
how many years ago did you say it was?
About 3 years ago.
I mean, now that they're high school age, both high school age.
One high school age. Other one.
I thought the youngest was in high school now.
No.
She 8th grade?
7th. Going into 7th.
Way to go, Lunceford.
Well, no, like, I see her pitching and stuff. I was like, she looks like she's like ready to play in high school.
No.
But like, I'd say, like, I got a friend who has a daughter who's like a sophomore in college and one who's about to graduate high school, and they went to Disney, and I can tell that they have so much more fun now. Like, if the kids are going to go when they're in college, like with the parents, because you're still going to pay for everything, that's the best time. Like, wait like 2 or 3 years and then go to Disney. And I feel like it's going to be even more fun at that point. And I know that's kind of intuitive to Disney, which seems kid-friendly and kid-oriented, but there's so much still to enjoy as an adult.
I would say the pictures were a lot cuter, when they were, you got, 5-year-olds down there. But, yeah.
You don't like an 18-year-old in front of Cinderella's castle?
Yeah.
It's just not the same?
They're feeling the pictures a little less these days.
They got like grimace on their face.
Yep.
So that's the other thing. Once you do the pictures, I got a picture like with the Star Wars area. I got a picture with like Kylo Ren and like Chewbacca and all that stuff. I don't care to do that anymore. So like,
yeah, I've met Chewbacca like 6 times.
But like, make more for me now. Like, I'm an adult. I'm gonna look the same. Make more for me. That's what they've done. They made more for the adults to enjoy over. The kids. But anyway, that was a whole different topic.
It went from talking about the numbers of the employees here at Double Down Media all the way to Disney World.
Let's not forget 1, 2, 5, 6.
Oh my.
Who's 3 and 4? Go back and listen.
A tease within a show.
A tease to go back and listen to something in
Hit
the show
that rewind button.
If you've even made it this far after we've talked about all weird stuff. That's been the back room. Number 16, our Sweet 16.
Sweet 16.
We can drive on our own now without Scott in the car. So, yeah.
I love you. Okay.
Bye.
Well, have a good night. Appreciate it.
If you like that content and other content from the next round, remember to like and subscribe and give us the thumbs up.